Hi, in today's Fertile Verbal, I want to talk about the first half of the original instructions tagline, which is inspired life, and say a little bit about what that means to me, although we can't definitively say what an inspired life looks like. It's more of a quality of life than it is the content or material of our story. Inspired has two definitions that I think are related. One is of extraordinary quality, as if arising from some external creative impulse. And the second one is of air or another substance that is breathed in. And in both of these, there's a pointing to inspiration as being something that's outside of ourselves that we can align with or breathe in. And we know that a lot of inspiration for people, for myself, comes from nature. And I think this is because nature has a certain pace and orientation that allows for inspiration. And that is a slower rhythm of life. It allows space for something new to emerge that we didn't already have before we got out there. And what I mean by this is, like, if we're playing music, for instance, and we're jamming, if I'm playing off of you in life, I need space to put a note in. I need to feel out what's your rhythm and where's the space for me to play. And if there's no space, I really can't play. There's nothing new that can just come through of an inspired quality. And so in our lives, if we know what we're doing every single day, we go from one thing to the next, the rhythm is fast, and there's no space in our lives, there's really not a lot of room for inspiration, for something from outside of us to come in and act through us, to be breathed in to the space. And so I think this spiritual concept of unlearning is a big one when it comes to inspiration, because it basically asks us to take what we thought we knew and question it and doubt it and just unlearn it as a presumed fact. We have a lot of stories in our lives of what we have to do in order to make money, to be a good person, to be a good friend, to be a good member of society, and it's contingent upon our doing, and this doingness, this fast pace of doingness that we have in American culture just gets out of control, and we basically lose touch with our inspiration. And I wanted to share one more thing on this, which is that yesterday I went kayaking with some friends and had a really profound sense of deja vu. And we're talking about deja vu and what does that mean exactly? And all we could really say about it is that it's a deep sense of feeling that I'm in exactly the right place that I'm supposed to be in. Like that this has happened before and it's a signpost that this is where I'm supposed to be at. And when we thought about the different times in our lives that we felt that, inevitably it was in some beautiful nature or some foreign culture that we were getting to know with some friends, just like a slow, observant, profound time in our lives. None of us had ever experienced deja vu at the DMV or in line at the bank or behind a computer cranking out a bunch of emails and doing a bunch of responsible adult things. And that's not to say that we shouldn't do those things, but I think understanding that those things we do in service to serving our inspiration, what's coming through our lives that we feel just called to do and know deeply beyond an intellectual story of this is what a good person would do, this is what I'm supposed to do, just this is what I'm inspired to do, and it comes from my being. And so I think aligning our lives to give us both paces at our disposal and use them consciously. I have lots of space, I'm in nature, I take a retreat, inspiration comes through, from that place I move to act, then I play a song, it's not a jam anymore, and it's a little bit faster, and there's not as much space, and I'm going and taking care of logistics and handling my business, but I don't get lost in that. At some point, when that's fulfilled its purpose, I return back to a slower rhythm. And I think that this is important because it speaks to a love of life. when we know everything and everything's already all planned out and we're just checking things off a checklist of doing. I think when I'm living that way, I lose a little bit of love of life. I stop breathing, right? My breathing doesn't become as good, and the inspiration doesn't flow as much. So that's the first half of the original instructions tagline video blog.